Hey, good morning. Today is July 14th, 2022. What I'm going to do today is just show a basic, unscripted. I'm going to make a lot of mistakes, so bear with me. So just a basic unscripted video of some basic operations of making something on the CNC machine. Very simple thing. And using Mach3 and just showing some basic operations on how Mach3 works. So let's get on with it. Boom. So here I have my computer. My computer is turned on and the machine is turned on. So the machine is turned on a little separate from the computer. So I'll show you where my machine buttons are. Now, I made this control panel, so there's my machine button and my lights lit up. Just the switch, I turned it on. That turns on the machine. The computer is inside the box, and my on button is on the side over here. So that box I made myself. I designed it, made it, and I like it. Works well for me. So here we go. What I'm going to do is just turn on Mach3. Like I said, it's an unscripted video. So my Mach3 icon is right there. I double click that. And Mach3 boots up. There we go. Just turned on. And the first thing with Mach3 always is you have to reset. So I reset, and that means the machine is now ready to move around. So back us up a little bit. Zoom us out a little, and what we got is my machine is dirty because I've been working with it. And I can use my arrow keys. I can use my arrow keys to move the machine around. And I'll show you the machine moving around as I move the arrow keys. So here we go. I've got the keyboard and I can move the machine. Get things out of the way. Do this with the keyboard, and then the page up and page down moves the spindle up and down. Okay, so that's some basic move the machine around. There's another way to do it with Mach3. Now on the keyboard, if I press the tab key, watch the screen, it opens up that little box on the side. So on this thing it looks a little bit like a hand pendant. You know, it looks like a dial there, but you can't go in there and turn the dial. But you have different things here. And if I use my mouse, see my mouse button, if I use the this slow jog rate, I can change how fast that jog goes. When I press my keys on the keyboard, this controls how fast that machine moves. If I move this up or down, right now it's on 10. If I go move it up to, say, 50, I'll move the machine a little bit now. You can see how much faster it moves. I hope you saw that. And I can move it down. I like to keep it slower. 10. So that's what that's for. And for the button jog, if I go plus, go look at the machine again. I'll press that same button. And this is just by pressing the buttons with my mouse. I can move the machine around. So that's two different ways. That's two different ways that you can move the machine around. By pressing either the keyboard or pressing with the mouse on the control panel, you can move the machine around. You can be very accurate with it if you change the speed that it goes. So there's a couple more features in there, but for now I don't want to put too much information together. Just two different ways to move the machine around a little bit, and I'll show you some other ways once we start setting things in the control. But that's basic stuff on Mach3. So now let me show you a few more things on Mach3. So on the keyboard again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to press the tab key again, and that makes that pendant go away. It doesn't make it go away, it just hides it. On the control panel, I'm going to use a little bit of a pointer here. This is where the G code will be displayed, and we're going to do that in a couple of minutes. This is the cycle start, the feed hold, and stop. While the machine is running, these are the things that you're going to use to control the machine. Either start it up or just put it in hold, which means you don't exactly stop it, because you can just press the cycle start again. So this is like cycle stop, cycle start, and start and stop. I'll do that while we're in there. And then stop means stop. Like, it's just going to stop the whole thing. These are we're going to show you that in a few minutes, what these things are, and we'll show this stuff a little bit, but I'm not going to worry too much about these. I've never used this one, reverse run. I've never used single block, not on this kind of stuff in Vectric. I do use the rewind, but these two I don't use them. I've never used them here. I've never used this one, block delete. I've never used this one, optional stop. And I've never used this one, flood. I've used them in other machines, but not here. For some reason, the kind of work that we do on a CNC router, we don't really use those things. Tool information. I don't really think too much about these things over here. Just never used them in here, but we'll look at them when we load the program up and start to get ready. But I do watch this one, Elapsed Time, so it lets me know how long something has been running, and I can look at the screen and see how much more I've got to go. This one is important, feed rate. So I do use this. I use it a lot. I use it all the time. And you could see this plus and minus buttons here, and it's got these FRO. That stands for feed rate override. And that's like when we get in a car in the morning, we start the engine, we put it in drive. Do we step on the gas pedal and just go as fast as we can go right from the start? No, we don't do that. What we do is we press slightly on the gas pedal and we start to go slowly until everything looks okay, and then we'll press a little more on the gas pedal and get it to go a little faster. That's what this is here. This is like our gas pedal on the machine. We want to slow it way down to get started with, and then we go up, 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 up until we get back up to this one here that says 100. See, little rapid feed rate. You know, this little column right here that goes back up to 100. So as we press the minus button over here, I don't know if we could see that on the screen or not, but see how that goes down? That goes down, 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 down. And we're way down here where it says 1. we slowed way down. Took the foot off the gas pedal. But now when we want to go a little faster, we go up, 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 up. I think you can do that on the keyboard. No, keyboard doesn't work for that. So we go up, 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 up until we can zoom that thing all the way up to 100. So you can drag this down, you can drag that up. You can press the plus and minus button to slow the machine down a little bit. If things look a little hairy and you want to slow it down, it doesn't sound right, you want to slow it down, then you can do that all right here. So that's what this feed rate box is all about. This one here works the same way. This is for the spindle, the RPM of the spindle. And you can move that up, you can move it down, and you can see the spindle override over here in your actual spindle speed. Right now it's set for 10,000. We're not gonna worry too much about this one. This is the important one to watch. So the important buttons here, reset, stop, feed, hold, these are important buttons. This is an important box right here. And then this is important information. Now my machine has 4 axes, so this one is displayed, but on another machine this may not be displayed if you don't have the setup for a 4th axis or rotary axis or index or however somebody else might want to call it. This box over here is just going to show you what's going on in the machine. It shows you a little picture of what we're going to be doing. Alright, so this is just some basic stuff about Mach 3. We're going to look more at it in a few minutes after we write a program and then put it in the machine, and we load it up in the machine, and we actually go and run that program. We're going to go and set a 0 point. So let's take just a little pause and I'll come right back to it. Okay, I use a little laser pointer. This is just a little laser pointer device. If I turn it on, you could see the little laser light in there. I hope I'm not burning your eyeballs out. But let me get this up a little closer. There's the little white marker that turned on, and this is just that's all it is, just a pointer. I'm going to put this in the machine to help me to find my XY 0 point on that piece that I'm going to do. So this here, if anybody's been watching the my woodworking forum, not my woodworking forum, I don't own it, but the woodworking forum that I do a lot of posting on, I've been making a little what I call a fisherman plaque, and this is the back of it. I've been doing some work on the other side that's up underneath. I can't show you that right now, but what I'm going to do is put this laser pointer in the machine. I'm putting my collet in there, and I'm putting my laser pointer in there, and I'm going to use the machine to find the center of everything. Well, I know that this edge, I made that nice and straight up and down because that's how the fisherman is in the other side. So if I want to find the center of this odd shape that I have here, I can do this with the machine, and I'm going to show you how I do that. So I'm going to shut my work light off so I can see my laser pointer a little bit better. And I don't use the keyboard to move my machine around. I have this hand wheel that does everything that I showed on the keyboard, but I can do it here. It's a little bit easier to do it, for me anyway. So I'm going to move my y-axis goes this way. See? I can move that, and what I'm going to do is pick up 2 points over here so I can kind of zero this side out. Once I get this side zeroed out, then I can find this side, and then I can look at my control panel. My control panel says the same thing I have here, but I'll show it to you. So I'm going to move my X over, move my Y down a little bit. And I'm going to move it to not the bark, but the inside of the bark. So see this area inside the bark, where that is right there? That's where I'm going to move to, just to see where I am here. So I don't know if you could see the little dot or not, but that's right on the bark edge. Now, if I come up to my machine panel, I know it's a little bit far away, but with this lens I can't get any closer. So this is the X. I'm going to make that 4 turn to 0. So that's my X. I'm going to be doing my X side by side. So now I'm going to come over to the other side. And with my Y, there's my pointer right there. I'm just going to pick up that edge. I'm going to move it up and down. I move my pointer up and down on that edge just so I can be sure that I got that. And then I'm going to look at my control again. And I'm zoomed all the way out. And right now it says 5.9528. So on my calculator, I turn it on, clean it off a little bit. 5.9528 divided by 2 equals, so I got 2.976. So if I move my machine to 2.976, I can change it to go in steps, 2.9. So what I'm doing is I changed that to go to steps, which means that every one click, listen to the machine, click, I don't know if that's getting picked up, 2.976, well actually it's 7, that's closer to 6. That's where my 0 is going to be, so I'm right in the middle. I'm going to make that 0. So right now that says X is 0, and I'm going to show you where the pointer is. The pointer is right there, right in the middle, 0. That's the middle of that piece. I have to do it that way because this is such an organic shape. I don't have a lower left corner. I can't just measure it. I can't draw a line in the middle. I have to try to find a center through some other methods, and this is the method that I use to do that. So now I'm going to move my pointer up to the top, the very tippity top of this thing over here. So my pointer is right here right now, and I'm going to move it back and forth to make sure I'm at the tippity top, which it is. I'm going to go to my machine again. Now I want to do the y-axis. So the y-axis over here, it says 3.516. I'm going to make that 0. And now I'm going to measure the workpiece again. going to go down to the very bottom. My pointer is right there, right at the very bottom. I'm going to go back to my machine control. And I'm going to look at the display. It says 7.9253. So clear my calculator. 7.9253. Yeah, right there. Divided by 2 equals 3.96. 3.96. I'm going to call it 3.963. So if I move the machine to 3.963, put it back in S for steps so I can move it again. 3.9. Whoops. 3.963. It also shows me that right on this control, so I don't even have to look. Let's see if we can get a focus on here. So, let's see, I hope it shows. I'm not sure if it is. I can't really tell on this. 3.963. So, I'll show you where the pointer is, because I'm going to put the X on 0. So that's on 0 right there. I make that 0 and I put my X. So 0, 0. That's my X and Y, 0, 0. And I'll show you where the pointer is. The pointer is right there. I don't know if you could see it. Hope you can. I think you can. But that's the middle this way, and it's the middle this way. So that's where I'm going to program to. And what I'm going to do is just face that off with a big facing bit. This is what I'm going to use, this bit right here. I'm going to make a program. I'm going to start Vectric. Let's get it turned on. It takes a minute to boot up, but it's okay. Boot it up. Here we go. Now I use Vectric Aspire, so you could see that up in the corner. And if you're using Vectric V-Carve Pro, what I'm going to do here right now is exactly the same as Vectric V-Carve Pro. There's no difference between what I'm going to do now and what I would do in V-Carve Pro. Same exact thing. So I'm going to start a new file, create new file. I'm not going to explain too much about what I'm going to do here, but I will explain a little bit. So that piece that's on the machine is, if I remember correctly, it's about 8 inches long by 7 inches wide, about, within an inch or two. But I want to make my file a little bit bigger because I'm going to use that milling cutter and mill from off the piece to on the piece, because it's not center cutting. I can't just plunge down with it. So if that's 8 by 7, I'm going to say 10 by 12. So I'm going to make it 10 inches wide, 10 inches wide by 12 inches tall, and there it is. So if I draw an oval in the middle, just to show the piece kind of a little bit, I'm going to make that oval say 7.5 inches wide. I'm just guessing right now, by about 9 inches tall. A little swig of coffee. Now, so what I'm going to do is I want to face the top of that, but I have to be bigger than that thing is because I can't face the top of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this circle. I don't need to go too much crazy. That cutter is 1.5 inches, so I'm going to take this circle and I'm going to offset it 1.5 inches. 1.5 offset. Boom. That's it. So that makes it a little bit bigger than my material. That's okay, I can fix that. It's very easy. I'll close this. I'll go back to my material and I'll just make it a little bit wider. I'll make it 12 inches wide because the material doesn't really matter. Not for what I'm going to do here. Okay, so there gives me my, what I'm going to call my machining boundary. I'm going to go over to tab over to, I'm going to get a pocket toolpath right over here. And I know I'm not explaining a lot, but I don't really intend to go do much explaining. I'm going to make my cut depth I'm going to make it 30 thousandths, 0.03. And I'm going to select my tool over here, which, come on, is going to give me, let's see, right here. We call it an end mill because the basic shape of that tool is basically an end mill, or like an end mill. So nobody really cares what we call it. It's a facing bit, or you call it anything you want. All that Vectric cares about, that it's 1.5 inches in diameter. Other than that, Vectric doesn't care what you want to call it. So we'll select that. And we'll calculate that. And I'm just going to change the name and call it facing. And then we're going to calculate it. Bingo. There it is. Looks like it starts in the middle and it circles around outwards. I don't want that. What I want to do is change this strategy to raster instead of offset, and calculate it again. There we go. That's exactly what I want. And is there one more thing I have to do? No. Everything looks good. So it's going to start, where are we here? And this comes out. So it starts right here, and it goes a little circle, and then starts going back and forth around back and forth over the piece. So we're going to see how that works. Now I'm going to change something on this because I only want it to go down just a little bit at a time. And right now it's set to go down at 1/16 of an inch. 0.062 per pass. That means it's going to go down to full depth and take the whole thing. I don't want it to do that. I want to take very light passes on that because I don't want to chip the wood or chip the bark, or if it's going more than I want it to, I want to be able to stop the machine. So I'm going to change that to 0.01 per pass. That means it's going to take it in 3 passes. I know that's tedious, I know that's kind of silly, but that's the caution that I want to take with machining that face because of what I'm trying to do with it. Otherwise, I would take 1/16 of an inch like nothing with that cutter. It's like that cutter doesn't even know it's taking 1/16 of an inch. So then I'm going to recalculate that again, because I did make a change. I have to make sure I recalculate it. And then I'm going to close this dialog box. and I can go and take a look and see what's happening. Of course, it's going to look a little bit odd because it's not the thing that I have on the machine. It's just a tool path that I'm making. I know what I'm trying to do. I know what I'm trying to make, and this is going to do what I want. So I'm going to go preview all tool paths, and I'm going to see what the cutter does. And you can see what the cutter's doing back and forth, back and forth. A second time, because I'm only going down 10 thousandths at a time. That's 0.25 millimeters for those that work in metric. There we go. That's it. That's all I want to do. I'm happy with that. I'm going to close this. And now what I'm going to do is post the code to the post processor. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to click on this tool path. I'm going to go to that little save button, save tool path. And I'm going to save the tool path. Now right here, there's a little box right there that shows me the post processor that I'm going to use, and right now it says Mach3, Mach 2/3, which is for Mach 3, for inches. If I was metric, I would pick the one that said millimeters, mm. So I'm going to pick that. I'm going to save the tool path, and it's going to ask me where do I want to save it. So on my machine and in my home, my workshop, I have like 4 or 5 different computers that I use, and I set up in my home a network, and I have a server in my home that I save everything to. So on my server, I don't want to get too complicated into that kind of stuff, but on my server I have a folder that I call Osprey Programs, and I call my machine Osprey because I like that bird in the wild, the osprey, and I just like it. I could call it eagle or any other thing, but I like osprey, and so I call my machine Osprey. So that's where I want to save that program to, so I'll click on my folder for Osprey, and I'm going to call it facing, and I'm going to just save it. Bingo. Saved. It's there. So when I go to my machine and I want to load the program, all I need to do is call that file up, and that's what I'm going to show you how to do now. So in my home, like I said, I have a network and I have a file server. So what I do is I store, when I save, like I just saved in there, I save it on my file server. I don't save it in the computer. I don't have a computer, I don't have a folder in that computer called Osprey Programs. And I don't have a folder in my CNC machine called Osprey Programs. But what I do is I have a shortcut on my desktop that's called Osprey Programs, and what that shortcut is pointing to is to my file server where my programs are stored. So maybe that sounds confusing to a lot of people, but and I don't want to explain a lot about how that file server works. If you're familiar with it from the workplace, you have to go to the network drive or the Z drive or the X drive or something like that. What they're doing is they're pointing to their file servers in the workplace where the IT department actually sets that stuff up and modifies and monitors and, you know, keeps that stuff running well. Well, I kind of have the same setup at home. I'm not an IT guy. I just it just works for me. So that's what I'm pointing to here. Otherwise, I would save to a USB stick, and then I would take a USB stick and I would put that in the USB slot in my computer, And then I could pull the program from the USB into Mach3. I hope that you can understand that. But it's a little confusing, I know, but that's the way it works for me. That's what I do. So let's continue on. So I'm going to go to load G code, and I have Mach3 set up so that it looks at that network drive. If I click on G code, you can see a number of programs that I ran recently. I don't save programs in my computer at all. If I take all of these and just delete them, you know, stuff that I'm not using right now, I just delete them. Bingo, 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 gone. I just delete them all. The one that I just saved is this one, Facing. Remember, I named it Facing. And I'm going to click Open. Click Open. Here we go. So, if you see up in this corner up here, see if I can zoom in on that a little bit. If you could see that in that corner, that's the dark blue lines, the oval shape that I had just programmed. So right now, I haven't moved my machine. It's still at X0, Y0. I haven't done anything to set the Z yet. I've got to put the tool in the machine, and we're going to set the Z, and I'm going to show you how I do that. So the program is in here. You can see that on the screen right there. So like I said, that's the display, that's a display, that shows me my program. So now I'm going to put the cutter in the machine. Okay, so let's go over to there. And I'm going to take this out. And that only has to be hand tight. I know I didn't tighten that. But that's just a laser pointer. So I'm taking the collet out of the collet nut. I'm going to put the collet in there for this cutter because it's got a 1/2 inch shank. Put that in there so it clicks in. I'm going to put that up in the machine. Now I'm going to put my work light on so I can see a little better. I shut the work light off because it makes it harder to see the laser pointer when I'm using a laser pointer, but I put the work light on. Now I'm going to tighten this up good and snug, and I'm going to go and touch this down to the top of my material. I'm going to be a little bit on the high side because I don't want it to cut too much. I don't really want to cut into the wood. I just want to leave just a small little skim just above the wood. That's why I'm kind of fussy about that. Now I could use the keyboard, but this is what I use to do all of my work. So I'm going to come down close. I'm going to come down really close. Let's zoom in a little bit more. Let's get zoomed in right there. And the closer I get, the slower I'm going to go. And I put it in steps so that one click is 1,000th. And I'm going to turn my cutter just a little bit. Up. Yeah, I'm just scratching the surface. Just touching the surface right there. You can hear it touching just a little bit. Okay, so that's there. That's touching the top. And I'm going to go back up to the machine. Right there. With my mouse, I'm going to go over to the Z and make that 0. So right now, that is a X0, Y0, and Z0. That's right at the very top of the piece. Just a little touching there. And I'm going to run that program to face off the whole top of the thing. So I'm going to move the camera out of the way a little bit because it makes a mess. I normally use my hand pendant. So what I'm going to do here is, before I start the program, remember we talked about this block, and I said that I can control this by using this mouse and slowing down the feed rate override way down. I want to be very careful. So when I run the program, what's going to happen on the machine is I'm going to control that feed rate override on the screen. I showed you about that already, but I want you to see how it works on the machine. So as I'm going to do it with my hand pendant. Okay, so I have a button setting, a dial setting over here for feed rate override. That's how I do it here. And you could see that when I'm on that feed rate override, you see the display. I can change that display right here. That's why I like to use this kind of a control, because I can get in there and I can watch it really carefully and really slowly. Okay, so that's how I'm going to control it. You could control it on the keyboard, on the panel, just the way I showed you with the mouse and that slide bar, because it does exactly the same thing. So I'm going to start the program. So that goes straight up. I'm going to let it go straight up. I can control it a little bit with my hand pendant. Yeah, we're at a safe position there. I'm controlling the speed with my dial, just like I would with a car and a gas pedal. Just go slowly. So that's coming down a little bit. You can see how it's going back and forth. I'm happy with the way it looks, so I'm going a little bit faster, a little bit faster. So right now I'm back to 100. You can see where it says 100% right there. And on the machine control, you see that green bar is all the way to the top. That means I'm running at full speed right now. Full speed for what I programmed. And I'm ever so carefully just slicing the top. The next pass down a little bit deeper. See, it's just cutting just a little bit. the machine control, you can see where my Z, that's the actual depth, that's at -0.299. That's about as close to 30 thousandths as you can get. And that's it, it's all done. Beautiful. Okay, so, I mean, it's not bad. It's pretty good. It's nice and flat. But, like, around the edges, it's not down to the wood yet. Around the edges, it's not down to the wood yet. It's still a lot of the epoxy resin still on top. So, I'm going to bring it down a little bit more. I know that with the display, when it was cutting, it was at minus 0.03 or 0.0299, which is only a 1/10,000th of an inch away. So 0.03. I'm going to bring it down another 20 thousandths. So if I go down to minus 0.02 with the Z, I'm still going to be 10 thousandths above. So I can do that right there without touching anything. And I'm going to look at my display over here, which is the same as the display on the control, but I like to use this because it's convenient. So I'm going to go down, 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 down. I'm getting close. I'm try to get this on the screen. Focus. There we go. I'm at 0.347. I'm going to keep going down. Slow. I'm going to go slow and careful. Come on, focus. There we go. I'm going to go, I'm at minus 18 right now. I'm going to go two more. 1, 2. And I'm going to reset my control. I can do it from the pendant also, but I'm going to reset my control. Right here is where it says minus 0.0203. I'm going to make that 0. Okay, so all I have to do now is just restart the program. I don't have to do anything. No feed rate override, no nothing. Because we already ran the program, we know everything works fine. So if I make a mistake and if I'm doing something stupid, you're going to see it right now. So I'm going to restart the program. And it's going to... So that first pass isn't really going to do anything. Oh yeah, a little bit. Okay, it's just skimming. Okay, now I'm just going to press a button on my keyboard like I showed you before, because I just want you to see this kind of stuff. I'm just going to move the machine out of the way. I'm going to push the Y back. Just so we can get a better look at that. All the way around the edges. That's kind of filled in epoxy right there. There was a big gap there, like the green of the bark was kind of broken away there, so that's filled in that green. Looks good all the way around. A little bit of rounded over there, but that's okay. Now this is green that's broken away here, and I'm not going to be able to do anything with that. That is just what it is. A couple of little pinholes here and there. The cracks are all filled in. It's broken away. There's little pinholes here and there. But I think it looks pretty good. So I'm going to say that's, well, it's not done because I have to do sanding and, you know, some little touch-ups and, you know, traditional woodworking kind of stuff, if you will. And I'm going to take my random orbital sander and sand it with some 60 grit down to get it to a nice polished surface. But that's not the purpose of this video. Alright, so that's the whole process right there. That's it. Hope this helps. Take it easy. See you another time. Bye.